Welcome everyone. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
What's up?
Good.
What's up? Welcome all the viewers that we have right now. Welcome to the Armchair Developers podcast. And I'm your host, mausx or MX, as some people know that people call me. And we have today I have my co-host or guest, whatever you want to call it, right? Top right we have Adrillian.
Hello.
Bottom left we have JustLeeBelmont.
Hello.
And bottom right we have Overnerd. And we will be delving in all things gaming related, and with some lighthearted things thrown into the mix. We have today 4 big topics. The podcast, the format is gonna be actually pretty simple. We're gonna introduce first, the idea, the things that we're gonna talk about. Basically, I'm gonna introduce like an opening statement, and then from there we're gonna start a conversation. From there, at the end, we're gonna be so basically that means that the chat interaction is gonna be a little bit soft, because obviously we're not gonna be interrupting people when they're talking or saying their thoughts or whatever. However, any funny remark or any like comments that are actually we're gonna be all basically looking at the chat. So if you actually do something dope, is gonna be mentioned. At the end, we're gonna be maybe taking questions if people have it. It might be lasting, I would say tops like 1.5, 2 hours, max. And it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully from here we'll see, the things that we're gonna be doing in the future, with the subsequent episodes. And let's get right into it, right? And first of all, I want all my guests to introduce themselves. Adrillian, take it away.
Oh, you make me go first.
Do whatever you want to say.
I'm Jillian. I've known MX for probably over a year now, probably. Yes, I'm Canadian. I stream, and he wanted me to come on, so here I am.
Thank you. JustLeeBelmont, take it away.
Hey guys, I'm JustLeeBelmont. I've been playing video games since I was 1, and I really like the idea that MX brought me onto this podcast to talk about game design. I'm not a game designer, but I'm very passionate about video games, so I'm very happy to be here.
Overnerd, go ahead.
What's up, guys? I'm Overnerd. I'm a variety streamer here on Twitch. Before that, I worked a lot in esports. I've been doing this a while. I've known Marco, MX, for way too long.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I've known MX for quite a long time.
I think it's 13 or 12 years by now, actually.
Yeah, something like that. It's been a long time. Both really into video games, so
right.
I'm always down to talk about video games. It's my favorite subject, so that's why.
Did you mention what's your background in video games? Did you just play for the lulz or what?
My brothers.
Or what kind of games you play or something? That's fine.
I try and play a variety of games. Lately, I've been playing point and click adventure. On Wednesday, I'll be starting Bloodborne, which I'm terrified of. But
nice.
I've kind of sort of played video games growing up. My brothers have introduced me, mostly Smash. But yeah.
Dope. Yeah. I have been playing since I was 3.5. I got into it with the NES and Mario games, like puzzle games with like Lolo or something. My mom taught me how to play, and I have been playing since. So yeah. Hope you guys have a good time. Let's get right into it, right? I think we have very meaty topics tonight. Meaty, and we actually had a hard time not trying to talk about it too much when we were planning this. So the first topic of discussion, I would say is this is like also a mix between streaming and gaming, I would say, right? And basically is and this is like based on my opinion, right, which is gonna be the opening statement. As a streamer, right, is under all the right to not allow any amount of spoilers or tips while they're playing the game on stream. Okay, I want to actually let JustLeeBelmont start his argument based on what I just said.
Okay, so there's one thing I kind of wanted to start off with, and it's so we can kind of like get ourselves on like the same page, right? I wanted to address the idea of what do we consider backseating related to gaming. because
Okay.
to me, the idea of backseating involves trying to micromanage every sort of aspect and facet related to what the streamer is trying to do. So that would be anything related to keep your posture straight. Don't do this in the game. Why are you doing this at this particular moment? And I think it's pretty agreeable that that would get annoying like pretty quickly, right? So what do you guys consider backseating?
Owen.
I honestly, to me, I'm pretty much on the same boat as you, Lee. It's more essentially trying to dictate how it is that I play the game, and any sort of aspect of that. Really, like I'm not counting tips or advice, even when, because I do feel it's the streamer's responsibility. You know, if you don't want any advice, if you want absolutely no tips whatsoever, mention it. You know, bring it up. You know, I don't want to know. I know it may seem like I'm struggling with this puzzle, but I don't want to know how to figure it out.
It's like, you mean like when people specify it's a blind playthrough or something like that? It's basically means
Yeah.
I don't want any tips.
Yeah.
Okay.
But to me, it's also like, you know, when you do specify that you don't want to know how to figure out, you know, a puzzle heavy game or a solution to whatever it is that you're looking for, and people do try to speed up the process by telling you, and a lot of times even they'll even know that you don't want spoilers or that you don't want to know the solution, and they'll put it in chat just because you're gonna have to see it and you're gonna have to know. Now you have to speed it along. I think that is like, it's manipulative, and it's also backseating, right? So it's like anything that dictates how I'm playing the game, and tries to change how I'm playing the game to appeal more to you, right? You, the viewer.
Okay.
That's for me what I consider backseating, or, you know, just trying to. I'm a little bit more lenient. Like if someone, let's say it's a game that has like a kind of open-ended level structure, like first example that comes to mind is like Mega Man. They're like, no, don't do Chill Penguin first, do so and so first. And it's like, but Chill Penguin, I always do Chill Penguin first. So why would I do the other one?
Right.
Like I think that, and then if you're really like, no, do this one, I want to see this one. I'm a little bit more lenient about that stuff. I mean, sure, technically that can, under my own definition, that's backseating, but
Okay.
it's really, you know.
Adrilan, what do you think is vaccine?
I agree mostly. Again, I don't know what new thing I could say.
Okay, I mean,
again,
yeah, maybe we're on the same page. I just
am on
wanna.
the same page, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanna add. Listen. Okay, so let me put an example. Like considering that, right? If one time I was playing, I think when I started streaming, I was playing Action Verge, right? And since I was new to streaming, for me was actually, I got to several points of the game that I didn't know what to do, because there's like, what is Action Verge is not a perfect game. I think it's a very good game, right? But there's the element of backtracking because of Metroidvania, right? But the thing is, like, there was a point in the game that I didn't have any upgrades to actually continue in any direction that I was encountering on the map and whatever. And I spent almost, I don't know, 45, 50 minutes, right, on stream trying to find where to go, right? And for me, I thought I asked some people on chat to see if they knew at the moment, hey, do you guys know where I need to go? But the thing is, like, in a game of that caliber, it would be, it was gonna be like, oh, people actually need to know exactly, following the playthrough exactly, what you're doing. So one thing that I did was, just when I went offline, I just looked it up and I say, hey, I'm in this, like, I was, I look at playthrough or something to see if I was missing something, and I knew what to do once I started streaming. And specifically my introductory point that is, I'm saying as a streamer, right? It means that I want to say, I think sure it's fair for the streamer that to put themselves at risk because they're streaming the game, but I didn't ask for anyone, like, besides for, I knew I was making, dead air, right? I didn't know what to do, right? And I was like, I need to make content out of this. But the thing is, like, I didn't ask for tips until I actually requested it specifically to have. So yeah, so that's the first point that I wanted to do, right? But I mean, yeah. So, Lee, what do you? I know you have some opinions about the dead air thing.
So I'm firmly in the camp that regardless of the rules of the streamer, I think dead air is probably the worst sin you could probably commit as a streamer, because not only are you not providing entertaining content, but as a viewer, I personally wouldn't want to watch someone go back and forth between like one area for 30 minutes, because I feel like it's disrespectful to the streamer's time. I feel like it's disrespectful to my own time. And in that instance, I would find it acceptable to kind of bring up the hint. And my anecdote regarding that is that, let's use the first Resident Evil remake as an example. So
Okay.
within that game, there is a door, right? And it's implied that this door will break after a certain amount of uses. That said, there is also an item that can help alleviate the issue with the door.
Okay.
If said item is used on the door, it will prevent it from breaking for even longer. Now, when I was in the stream, I mentioned to the streamer, hey, it might be worth your time to use this item here because it could save you about 30 to 40 minutes of needlessly backtracking and, leading to dead air essentially. And I was pretty much met with a lot of hostility regarding that. And I know it wasn't really my place to mention this because they did explicitly mention that there should be no backseating, hints, tips, or advice. But I felt like in this instance, it was justified because it would prevent there from being dead air on the stream. And I basically had them and the mod team get on my butt for that. And I felt like I was just trying to help. I didn't have any ill intentions.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I think a lot of streamers are really like, it's one of those things where it really depends on the person, because I've seen people just flip their shit over the most minuscule details that they deemed spoilers or backseat gaming or just, but really it's such a gray area because it's so opinionated. Go ahead.
Actually, the thing is, like, I'm a person, like, I'm like that. Like, for example, for me, a spoiler, for example, for movies, if let's say you go watch a new movie that comes out, and you come back and you tell me the movie was great. For me, that's a spoiler. No. Obviously, it's not. You tell me, hey, I know you're gonna like the movie. Like, knowing what you like. For me, that's a spoiler. Like, I don't want to hear if it's good or bad. Or I don't want to hear, like, for example, if we're watching something together, we're playing a game. Actually, this happened on Saturday with the Messenger. When I got to there was an area that you get to the Tower of Time on top or something, and Lee said, you're gonna
like this part.
Now you're gonna like this part. For me, that's a spoiler, because the
really?
thing is, like, I'm not expecting something crazy to happen, right? And for example, we're watching something together, or let's say you go watch the movie and you tell me, oh, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but pay attention to the part when this happens. And then I'm gonna go to the movie and sit down and be like, just wait. I'm not gonna pay attention to anything, or just to that part that you just told me, right? Because for me, that's gonna ruin the experience. You know what I mean?
I agree with, like, when it comes to movies or games, I don't want to be told, like, hey, just pay attention to this part. That being said, I don't like if someone says, hey, you're gonna really like this movie. That doesn't faze me. It doesn't even register in my head as a sort of like spoilery kind of thing. That's what I'm saying. It's so opinionated, because whereas someone might go to a movie and tell me, hey, go check out the new Avengers movie. It was amazing. It was so sick. It was the best movie I've seen all year. I'm be like, oh, really? Cool. Like, in my head, it's like, I'm going to see, like, I heard some good things. Let's see how it turns out. And so I have the same, I guess, like, my same stance towards, like, game reviews, really, where it's like, I can read a terrible review, but I'm like, I mean, it looks cool to me. I'm going to try it anyways. I think I don't weigh other people's opinions on what they think is amazing or really terrible until I've seen it myself. So for that reason, spoilers, that doesn't count as a spoiler for me. For me, it's more like I don't like when people are saying, like, hey, the part where I'm not gonna spoil it, but the part where the hero like walks into this room and like looks to the corner or whatever, I'm gonna be like, no, shut up, stop,
right?
But telling me whether it's good or bad, for me, it's really so, like, it's so different, and that's, like, for me, that's what really makes it so difficult, right, as a streamer. And that's why I think it's the responsibility of the streamer in this case to handle it in a way that maybe they off stream wouldn't necessarily, maybe they'd be more upset about it off of stream, right? But you have to understand, as a streamer, you're putting yourself in a very open position, right? A very open situation where like anybody can type anything into that chat and you're gonna read it,
Yeah.
unless your mods get to it first. And so I feel, to me, it's almost like it's a compromise you make, knowing like, hey, most of my regulars know, don't backseat, don't spoil, but I know if I play this game on stream, I might get spoiled. You know.
Right.
I wanted to mention, I feel like the idea of a spoiler kind of hinges upon the notion that a spoiler reveals some sort of information that the person didn't know prior to that, right? So the idea of hearing that something is either good or bad doesn't necessarily reveal specific information about something. It's more about like sort of, I guess, like the emotional response you had to it, rather than revealing some sort of like logistical information related to an event. So
Adriana, what do you think?
Um, I kind of half agree. Like in the instance Lee was saying, like he just said the hint of the door. Me myself, I'm super strict about spoilers because in my brain, if someone gives me something little, my brain will start going on scenarios. Like my brain's constantly going through scenarios. It's the way it works for whatever reason. So sometimes, it's not all the time, but I can end up predicting what ends up happening just from something little you said. So I'm of the rule, don't say anything. Maybe ask, can I give you some advice about this door? Like that's not going to give me anything, and then you can give it to me. And you can't 100% avoid spoilers because of chat. Like you're going to read it. Unless you completely ignore chat, you're going to have some kind of spoiler. Like as a streamer, you just have to accept that. Unless you have like on the dot mods and you have delayed stream or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I'm of the opinion, ask first. Can I give this hint?
Right. I actually absolutely agree. I don't mind. For example, that reminds me that there are like have been a couple examples, like for me at least, when I was like streaming Symphony of the Night for the first time. There were like some people who appeared. Actually, I think Lee, that was the first time you actually saw me stream. I think maybe.
I was watching you play Rondo.
Rondo, yes. Yeah. Which was right after, the day after or something.
Yeah.
I was. I remember there's a point in Symphony of the Night that you get. That you start buying spells basically from the shop, right? The thing is like something that I didn't know that I knew through chat is that you can actually just input the spells and you can actually make the spell appear. You just own it basically. If you actually, maybe you look it in the instruction book or you look in the internet, it doesn't matter. For me, that wasn't a spoiler, but the thing is like I remember someone said, "Oh, try this input," right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say anything else on chat. And I was like, what is that input gonna do? Because I remember saying, if it's gonna give me like invisibility or gonna finish the game, like I don't know, it was a cheat code or something like that. But there was someone who said, no, it's a spell, like the spell that you have, right? And I tried all the spells and I got all the spells and I felt like, oh, okay, that wasn't spoiled. That's actually pretty awesome. So my point with that is that I think if someone actually asks, hey, do you want a hint? Do you need a hint? And that's happened to me, that I have been other streamers that I say, like I have seen someone playing A Link to the Past and I know what to do in A Link to the Past. And I'm like, hey, do you want a hint? Because, you see them struggling. But the thing is like,
Right.
Once I give the hint, I actually am very vague about it, right? And actually try to give a hint that is not like, hey, you need to go to this specific location, right?
Yeah.
I remember watching someone was like playing the third castle, the dungeon of the thieves town or something like that, that you need to throw a bomb for the light to go down to the first floor, and that person went there like 5 times. I didn't know what to do, and that was an opportunity for me, like, hey, it was like the whole chat was actually memeing about it, like, what do you do, what something you can throw in there or something, or like something that explodes, and they got it, but they actually end up doing it, because also you need to respect the intellect, or I guess the streamer that they're experiencing this for the first time, and maybe you did, maybe with your brother or with your family or something, or by yourself. Sure, some people just do it because they are more natural to play games, but I think it's like there is like some level of respect that is like, hey, I understand that this is a blind playthrough, right? Or I understand this is your first time, and so people are like, I don't care, I just want to play. and some people are like, okay, I'll take the hint, right?
I have
Go ahead.
a little example. I don't remember which part it was exactly now that just reminded me. But about keeping hints vague, the way I like to think about it, I try to keep, if I ever, I don't really give hints all that often. In fact, really the only time I do it is like if I'm watching like a friend play a game, not really like random streamers I've never seen before. And I try to keep them like as vague as like a load screen tooltip, and which I was laughing to myself just now because I remember this was years ago. But so I don't remember what even they were playing, but they were playing a game, and the streamer was having a hard time, and somebody in chat, the streamer had also said like, please no spoilers, no backseat gaming or whatever. This was a streamer who was very, very particular about what they deemed to be backseat gaming, and they were sitting on a load screen and commenting like, wow, this is a really long load screen. And there was a load screen tip at the bottom of the screen, and somebody in chat basically just said the load screen tip. Like, you know, I don't remember what the load screen tip was, but if it said press A to jump, right? The person in chat basically said, hey, you know, if you press A, you'll jump. And the streamer like lost their shit. They're really? Like, I said, stop backseat game. I know backseat gaming. Like, how many times I say, mods ban so and so, and it's like, dude, it's on your screen. It's on your screen right now. Like the person was just making a joke about the tooltip being super obvious, you know, because it was not press A to jump, but it might as well have been, right? It's like, you know, if you're having trouble at the game, try getting better. You know, it's like
right. If you're dying, don't die.
Yeah, if you're dying, do the opposite of dying. So it was just like a stupid loading screen tip, and the person basically said like, yeah, no, did you know that if you insert tip here, and the person just was like, just completely oblivious. And that's why that's the thing that always sticks with me when I'm like, you know, it's really different depending on the person what they deem as backseat gaming or spoilers. And that's why, like, for me, it's always been that. I think that was a big lesson for me. It's like, well, you know what, sometimes you just have to, like, I don't ever want to be that guy, that person that I watched. So I think you just have to like understand that, like, I got spoiled, but I also put myself on the internet where this can happen. So I try my best to avoid it, right?
Yeah.
But and if you've got like snappy mods, then they'll usually pick up a bad spoiler before you can, if they do it quick enough. I mean, it's also like that won't stop me anyways, because every time somebody like times someone out, I always click the thing and read the message anyways.
Right. In Chatterino, it doesn't delete, actually. It just gets.
Yeah. Same thing in
also
Chatty.
Considering I have one mod only though, and it's Lee. So.
I'm here to help.
Yeah. Anyways, I mean.
You guys want to keep expanding on this? Actually?
Yes, there's quite a bit more I wanted to cover, actually.
I wanted to ask because I know.
Okay, because I'm very passionate about this topic. So a couple things I wanted to mention related to this. I wanted to discuss, so we've talked about the general idea of spoilers, right? But let's get a little bit more specific, right? How do we feel related to narrative spoilers, first of all? So
it's a big no-no.
Unacceptable.
Okay. Unacceptable? Okay.
Yeah.
So my stance on that is that for my chat, I allow it, and I respect that if people have a desire to talk about that kind of thing, I let them rather than prevent them from doing that. But I also tell them, keep in mind that if this is my first time playing a game, I may gloss over it, but I don't want to prevent you guys from discussing it with each other. And to me, I feel like that's fair, because it's like you mentioned, Overnerd, I'm pretty much exposing myself to the internet. I kind of have to accept that these kind of things are going to happen. And I feel like that's sort of a respectful way of allowing chat to keep talking, while also letting me still keep being able to do my thing. And I think this applies more so to smaller streamers compared to bigger ones, mainly because chat's slower, it's more noticeable, and I don't really like the idea of potentially alienating someone just because, you know, I don't want to see like a particular narrative spoiler. But now related to this, I also don't go to other streamers' things and tell them story-related spoilers, because for some games that is the gameplay, right? Like a Telltale game, you know, the choices are the gameplay, right? So I don't impose that rule set onto others, but that's how I function related to that.
Right. There are some games where I said my snap judgment was unacceptable. I'm half kidding but half serious. When I say no spoilers in chat, really the only thing I'm saying is please don't spoil the story of whatever story game I happen to be playing. There are a lot of games which I will say as I'm playing on stream, I don't care about the story of this game. Like,
Right.
I mean,
Be-
nothing
because also-
recent, but yeah, go ahead.
Also, the game can make you not care because it happened to me with Starlink.
Mhm.
It's like I just started playing 15 minutes in, and I was like, I don't care about this. I'm just gonna skip. I
Yeah.
want to play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, there are. I mean, this is a bad example because I haven't streamed something like Destiny 2 in a very long time. But like, when Destiny 2 was a thing, I was like, I don't care. I really don't care what's going on. This story's bad anyways. So like, I just want loot. So those are games where I'll specifically say like, I don't care about spoilers here, guys. Like, I'm not here for the story. But like a lot of times when I am playing something really story heavy, I will say I really don't want to know. Please, please keep the spoilers like to an absolute minimum. In which case, like that's where like I feel like I've mentioned it, and if someone does spoil, well then they had fair warning.
Yeah. Also,
Right.
I wanna say real quick is that I'm happy that so far the community that I have built, like I haven't found someone that is like, holy shit, I'm gonna I guess we can all say that we don't have a lot of like people that are assholes or anything that are gonna do it on
No.
purpose. And you guys are all have been streaming longer than me too, and you have more followers than me, but at least I'm happy with that so far. How that has been. However, but I think it's also again is because maybe setting the boundary, right, of saying this is what I want from this playthrough, or it's a blind thing. Which actually, a question real quick: do you guys actually use tags when you actually go put a title or stream or something?
I do.
Yep.
You always
I
use
do.
tags,
I always use
For
tags.
speed runs, yeah.
As much as
You
I
do?
can.
and
I
you
think-
actually you click on tags when you actually looking for stuff too.
I have not. I've never used the tag search feature.
I use the tag search feature a lot, actually, especially recently because of speedruns as well. Like playing Resident Evil 2, I just want to see speedruns. I'm not interested in seeing people who are playing the game just because I already finished it. Right, I finished it several times. I only want to see speedrun stuff, and the tags really help, especially also when I'm doing when you go to creative streams. Basically, I think the tags are essential.
That's true. Okay,
Because there's so many different things that you could find in there.
that's true. I'm sorry, you were saying something over there. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I think that the tags I personally think that they're really, really helpful. So I try to keep the tags as accurate as possible to whatever it is that I'm doing during a specific stream. I change them on an individual basis.
Okay. Adrian, I remember you telling me something about when someone spoils something that you will let it go for the first time or something.
Yeah, if someone's like new to the stream, or if I'm like playing a blind playthrough for one of the first times and people haven't really been exposed to what I'm used to being a spoiler, the first maybe couple times, or depending on who it is, I'll let it go because they either don't know me, don't know my standards, or they're just plain new in general.
What
I
are your
mean-
standards, Adrian? What are your standards? What do you mean?
Well, anything relating to the story, of course. I'm
Oh.
super strict. Like for movies, I don't watch trailers anymore because I end up building up my expectation, and my expectation will always be, no matter how good the movie is, my expectation will always be higher. So I have to go into a movie thinking it's going to be absolutely awful,
Right.
and then it'll be better. Like
I think
I've had.
that's a good attitude for any movie. I
Right.
think.
Plus,
Yeah,
movie
'cause that
trailers
happened.
these days. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. This happened for Mad Max. Everyone was raving on and on about the new one, and then I went in thinking it was gonna be a great movie, and it was just like there's like no story. Like it's all
Wait, you didn't like Mad Max?
well, because I was so hyped for it.
Guys, the
My
podcast,
expectation
the
was
talk show,
higher.
the talk show is over. I'll see you guys. In a
No,
couple
I
weeks.
did like it. It's just I expected it to be this great, amazing movie, and I went in with that
Mm.
expectation, and it just my expectations go through the roof. That's
because
just
people hype it up way too much.
yeah, because
Okay.
that's what happened, and so it's the same with games, I guess. Like, don't tell me anything. I don't want to know anything. I'll ask if I don't care about the game. I'll say I don't care, like what Overnerd was saying. But
Yeah.
What do,
I-
do you have the same interaction when you like? I guess you will act the same way when you go to other people's streams that you ask. Do you interact a lot when you go to other people's streams?
I don't have a lot of streams I go to, and not very often do they play games I've played. So it's not very often that I know something that they don't. So,
Okay.
I mean, I would ask first if like, do you want help, or I'm not gonna say anything. I'll be silent in chat, or just use emojis or something. And
Okay. Overner, you
yeah.
want to say something?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go with Overner. And Lee, if you have anything else after, we can wrap it up with that and go on move to the second topic.
Yeah, there's a little
Sure.
bit more.
I was just adding to what Julian was saying. I think I have the same problem where expectations can be set pretty easily by people's opinion or by a trailer. And for that reason, like now, movie trailers, I simply, if I'm going to watch a movie trailer, I watch the first 10, 15 seconds and I turn it off. I don't remember the last time I finished a movie trailer, because like the movie trailers these days give you the entire story. They'll play the entire movie in the trailer, all the good parts. So I'll watch the first 10 seconds to know like, oh, this is actually something I think I'd be interested in. And then I'll base my opinion on that. And with game trailers these days, it's actually, for me, it's a huge change because I used to never do this. When I was excited for a game, I would consume every piece of media that would release, like every piece of media that I could leading up to the release of that game. And like for the last few big releases, I mean, I guess Kingdom Hearts is the most relevant one. I watched the original, like the announced trailer that they put out, long time ago now. And I got the game. I'm enjoying it. It's not like the best thing in the world, but I didn't watch a single trailer after knowing for a fact, okay, it's officially announced that Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out in 2019. I didn't watch a single thing after that because I'm so tired of I've been personally enjoying things a lot more now that I can go into them knowing that I'm interested, but I don't actually really know what's going to happen. God of War was similar for me. I knew I was going to play it simply because it was a God of War title, and I'm really happy that I went into it fully blind, not knowing anything about it.
Yep. Same.
But yeah.
One funny remark actually. The Ill Chemist says, let's start a petition for game trailers to only contain actual gameplay. Yes. Lee, let's continue.
Sure. So back on the topic of spoilers, I know we mentioned the idea of narrative spoilers essentially being a no-no, fairly universally across all of us. Now, the big thing I really wanted to discuss, because I feel like this is a bit more subjective, let's discuss gameplay mechanic spoilers. Now, there's two types that I want to discuss, right? So the first is a sort of missable gameplay mechanic spoiler, and my example of that is the wall jump in Super Metroid. So, which I think is really good, right? Because there's one area in the game in particular that
you're
teaches
forced
you
to use.
Yeah, you're forced to use it. There's no other part in the game where you have to use this, and it's very easy to miss this area because you need to essentially like use like an item in a very obscure spot. But I see a lot of players miss this area. Now, is it wrong to want to mention this kind of thing in chat? Because to me, I don't think it is. Because I think that having this sort of knowledge early on in the playthrough can make for a more exciting viewer and player experience too. Because it allows for more options for the player to express themselves, whether it be with sequence breaks, mobility, combat options, and all that. And I feel like it's a good thing to mention this kind of, gameplay mechanic spoiler, so to speak. And we're strictly talking about missable ones.
Missable.
So what do you guys think about that?
I think that, in that case, for me, it always, I don't find myself in this situation all too often in streams, but I'm just going by like what I would do right now. If I was watching a stream and I was presented with this situation, what would I do? I think it's always just better to ask, hey, look, I got a tip for you that the game doesn't tell you. Do you want me to tell you? And then they'll be like, yes or no. And if they say no, I'll be like, well, whatever, have fun, but if they say, yeah, sure, then I'll tell them, it really, for me, it's always about asking like, hey, the game doesn't explain this to you. Do you want me to tell you like a mechanic tip? And I'll always specify like it's not a story spoiler. It's not a story spoiler. It's nothing about the story. It's just like something you can do that the game doesn't teach you. And so like I just ask, and if they say yes, then yes. If they say no, then well, I tried.
If they say no, I leave.
Oh, I'll stick around if I'm watching them and it's a good streamer. It's like, well, I'll get to that point and I'll be like, yeah, I told you so. And like, but it's not. I mean, I guess it's happened to me before for sure. A lot of times it'll be something I miss a lot of things in a game because I pay a lot more attention to chat than I do to the game when I'm streaming it, which is why I have to be really picky about what I play off stream and what I play on stream. Because if I care about it, I have to play it off stream. But I miss a lot of things, so I'm usually pretty lenient about people telling me like, hey, so and so NPC 3 hours ago explained to you how to do this thing and you missed it. I'll be like, oh, really? Shit. Thanks.
Right.
That
Actually,
doesn't bother me because I missed it. The game told me and I didn't pay attention. So for me, that's okay.
I remember when you started streaming, I didn't stream. There were many times that I will watch your stream, and I will get frustrated because you were. Now I understand. By the way, I totally understand that you were paying attention to chat and interacting with chat a lot, and I usually used to go for the gameplay, right? Because
Right.
you're not a bad gamer, and I think, oh, I want to see this dope game or something, right? I just wanted to say that I used to get frustrated, but not anymore.
No, I mean, honestly,
But I don't.
and go ahead.
No, I totally get it. That has happened to me that I don't pay attention. I miss it some part, and or some key part of the story or something because I'm playing on a stream, and someone else, usually it's Lee actually, who tells me, "Hey, you missed this thing," or remember this. And it's like, "Oh shit, that's true," and something.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, like I've not been doing this for. I mean, it's been like almost 2 years, but to this day, like just trying to pay attention on being like people always joke, they're like, yeah, you're just making excuses, but I think everybody actually knows it's really tough. Like you're streaming a game, especially like a competitive something competitive. I like when I was playing a lot of battle royales and stuff like that, and it's like I would always say like, look guys, don't expect any wins because I'm not good on stream. I'm so hyper focused on chat, and because I stream for the conversation, I stream for the chat, right? I stream for the community. That's why I'm there, because I can play games off stream just fine. It still works.
That actually
and
made me name my slogan of just above average gaming, because I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I'm here just to chill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's just for me. It's always like it's. I'm going off topic, so I'm just gonna like basically for me, it's like every time I play off stream, I'm like, damn, this is not that hard, or like I'm doing way better than before, and I realize like, oh, well, duh, because I wasn't when I'm streaming, I'm literally just not paying attention. I'm talking over cinematics. I'm not listening to mechanics tutorials. I'm not paying attention. I'm talking over. I would have known that there was an enemy player on the other side of that wall had I shut up for a second. And it's just, I don't take it that seriously anymore. If people come in my stream, they're like, holy shit, you're really bad. I'm like, I mean, yeah. Are you not? I can see it. I'm really bad. But yeah, it's just different. It's difficult. That was just a random side point.
Agreed.
So the missable gameplay mechanic, I would benefit a lot from that, because I have a bad habit of being an airhead on stream and missing a lot of things, like Overnerd was saying. Like they explained that 20 minutes ago and I missed it. I was playing Monkey Island like a couple weeks back, and there was this path you could take this way, and I didn't even see it. And I was going this way, and I was stuck for like half an hour. And this dude's like, you can go left, right? And I'm like, oh, hey. And then I like beat the game in like 20 minutes or something. I can't remember. Actually, no, I don't even think I beat it yet. That's not the point. But it's like if I'm struggling, like of course I want you to ask first. I'd prefer that, because I don't know what you're gonna say. Like it could end up being something that I can tie to this, to tie to that, to tie to that, and it's a story thing. But it's like mechanic, and I mean ask first. But yeah, with that kind of stuff, I'm okay with.
Right.
Okay. Lee, any closing statements?
Kind of. I was gonna mention regarding the the gameplay mechanics. I'm super lenient with that stuff. Tell me you don't need to ask, because like if it's more entertaining for the audience, I'm down, and I'm very happy to learn these kind of tricks because it makes my gameplay experience more entertaining. Relating to closing thoughts, there's one more thing I wanted to mention.
Okay.
Let me see if I can collect my thoughts. So I guess it's pretty much unanimous that you shouldn't mention like any of these things, even if the streamer says like, no, I don't want to allow hints, tips, spoilers, or any of that, right? It's like, it's not kosher to do that for other people's streams, right?
Did you say kosher?
I did.
Dope.
So there was there were two anecdotes I wanted to mention fairly briefly. So I think by not allowing these kinds of things, streamers are hurting their own growth. And I say this
Oof.
from one anecdote
That's
that
a
I
big
have.
claim. That's a big
Oh.
statement. You gotta
Big claim.
back that shit up.
And I will. So I was watching someone play Symphony of the Night, right? And
Mhm.
you brought up earlier that there's the idea that you can do these sort of spells for Alucard,
Yep.
earlier in the game. All you need to know is your input. Now, I did the polite thing because I'm not a jerk. I asked him, "Hey, can I tell you about this spell and like how to input it?" Because I noticed he was dying a lot. I noticed he was struggling with a lot of enemies in particular,
Mhm.
and he brought up immediately, say, no, don't tell me that. His mod got on me too. His mod actually did an exclamation point blind playthrough, and almost immediately after that, a third of his viewers left, myself included.
Oh.
Damn.
And
Oh.
to me, that shows statistical evidence that the people leaving correlates to him not wanting any sort of advice.
What?
And
How
to
big was
me,
the streamer? How many followers they have?
he wasn't too big, so every follower mattered, right? He had about 15 people watching. That number dropped to 10, and that number dropped to 9 after I left.
Oof.
And to
Okay.
me, this tells me that the streamer wanted a monologue more than a dialogue with his chat.
Okay.
And
Okay.
as an example, for sort of a positive way that advice has sort of helped me out as a streamer, I was streaming Castlevania Rondo of Blood, and I was speedrunning it. Nowhere on my panels do I allow or disallow tips, advice, or backseat gaming. I had the world record runner in my chat watching me, and he was giving me help. He was giving me advice. And there came a point where he mentioned there was something I could do, and I didn't ask, and I took his advice. And to me, that was one of the most satisfying moments for me, because not only did I get a new personal best in that run because he showed me a trick that saved like 5 or 10 minutes of my time, but I was grateful because I was able to have a sort of dialogue with him and establish that sort of rapport, even if I didn't explicitly ask for something. So for me, that was the benefit of being open to advice. And the other scenario is an example of it hurting growth for a stream.
I think. I mean, you make a good point, right? No. I mean, I think. Yeah. I think. Ideally, I personally, I'm careful with the games I play, or the things I speedrun, like which you have helped me. Like I run my first speedrun with you actually, and but obviously that was a game that I have played before. You know what I mean? Like I know Fusion. But I think again it comes with a risk, right? It comes like I guess you can call it that if you don't care that you're gonna have 0 people watching, right? Because you want a blind playthrough. And again, I think you use the right word, which is that you say it's a dialogue, right? And it should go both ways. And the thing is like because we are not like, and we don't have a million people following us, right? We can just ignore chat because we don't grow by the second, right? But the thing is like, would you think that's the right argument to make to everyone? Because this is not the only thing that can help you grow, right? So if that's something that just comes in the mix for you, that you are willing to say, fuck it, this is the way I want to play games, and either the people who come here agree with me, and if they don't, they can leave, then for better or worse, right? By all means, leave, because I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to have a good time, and a good time for me will be having a blind playthrough and making sure my mods protect me from anything, right? What would you say about
that? That depends.
I think again, it depends on the personality of the stream, right?
I guess that.
And it depends on the game that you're playing, and it depends on the thing that you are doing, because speedrunning is also a different thing than just playing the game blind.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very contextual. It's really, really contextual, because I can't imagine that Lee's same example, that it would have been the same case had it been someone playing Kingdom Hearts 3 and someone in chat was like, "Hey, can I tell you what happens next in the story?" And the streamer's like, absolutely not. And it's not like they're going to be, everybody's just going to be like, well, fuck this guy. Bye. I really don't feel like that would have been the case. It's really contextual. Whereas like if you're watching a speedrunner and you want to see a good speedrun, right? And then you realize this guy's not taking tips. It's like saying, I want to learn, I want to learn something, but I don't want to be taught, So then, okay, I'm going to go watch another speedrunner who's actually trying to do better because I want to learn,
Let's also keep in mind the example of the casual playthrough I watched where, the streamer did lose viewers at the simple mention of advice or a hint.
Right.
Which is something that I want to reiterate because...
I think it also depends, like accepting, denying advice depends on the attitude of the streamer. Like as a streamer, you need to accept that you cannot 100% be free of spoilers. Like you just can't. You're putting yourself on the internet. You're going to be playing a game blindly. It is a possibility. You need to accept that in your brain. And the way you described it, it's like the streamer was like attacking the viewer. Don't say anything. Like basically shut up. Don't say anything. And that's like a negative attitude, which would turn me off for a streamer. So I think the way you approach spoilers, advice, tips, hints, backseating, however, would also impact your relationship with the viewers. Like I've been watching this one streamer who's playing through the Kingdom Hearts series before he plays the new ones, and he's like, please don't say anything. Like he was very polite about it, and he's like, anytime someone new is like, oh, you're playing through them all, he's like, yes, but don't say anything, please. Like he was very chill, very polite. Whereas if he's like, no, don't say anything. Like I don't want to know anything. Right. Don't say anything. Like that's very hostile, and I would be like, "Hey, I'm gone."
That's
like,
what I was gonna.
On the attitude.
Yeah, I was gonna mention earlier that to me, it's a very, very social aspect. I think a big part of streaming is how you interact and how you come off to your viewers. Right? There's people who are really, really, really nice in real life, and they're really, really nice to their chat, and there's people who are really, really bad at talking to people in real life, and it comes out in your chat. If you don't know how to handle a situation the right way, you might scare away these perfect strangers who have the advantage over, they're in their faceless names in a chat. You can easily, I just click X and I'm gone.
That's deep as fuck, dude.
I like, it's just, I can come in, stop by your stream, check you out, see what you're up to, and you'll never know I was there because I never said anything in chat. And if you don't know how to handle that socially, then without how to be understanding of the viewer, then you're gonna have a bad time. I feel like a lot of times I've seen that happen a lot. That's why I was trying to say it's really contextual. And I think that like if you care, right, and if you want people to stick around, you don't want to just like have kind of like a one strike you're out situation going on, like Julian was mentioning earlier. If it's the first time, you mentioned like, hey, please don't spoil. Really, just please don't. But like, don't pretend like everybody comes into your chat, reads your panels to the T, understands the rules, writes an essay, and then graduates, and then like comes to your chat and be like, I'm ready now to watch you and to interact. Like, no, sometimes people don't know. But if you know how to read the room, sometimes you're gonna find out. You're gonna immediately get that gut feeling like this dude's here to try to make my night worse. I'm not gonna let it happen. But sometimes people will come in, you'll know when they're not trying to be a dick. They're just saying like, hey, they're really, maybe they're watching the game because they're really excited about this game. They're passionate about this game. They want to show you that they know what they're talking about when it comes to the game. And if you can be understanding and you can be empathetic to like the viewer, then really it'll be easier for you to accept the fact that, okay, fuck, I got spoiled. And also be easier for you to build a community, because I remember when we were thinking about this topic, I was just thinking there's a lot of like and I don't want to drag on this spoiler topic way too long anymore, not much longer.
I was gonna say we need to move on, by the way.
I guess I don't like it when it happens in real life. I am very anti-arrogance. I don't like confidence is different. Confidence is completely different. I really personally deeply dislike arrogance. It's like a very personal thing. Yeah, it's happened to me for like, I've just never liked it. And so I feel a lot of times when you find a streamer who is not being understanding, who's simply being arrogant about their rules, acting like they are the king of this stream and you are all the peasants gathered around me. I think that is something. The moment that I get that hint from the way that they handle a situation, depending on enforcing the rules, whatever it may be, the moment that I get that hint that they're like, that they are viewing the view, like that they think that the viewers are there for them, like that the viewers belong to them. I think that that's the moment where I'm just like, all right, dude, peace. Because
But
like,
my main thing is that I just, regarding the whole like gameplay mechanic things, I just think that limiting the amount of topics that are able to be discussed by the chat isn't really conducive to like adding more to a dialogue, because like I don't think you really want to limit, not narrative spoilers of course, because like, you know, we're all on the same page for that, right? And I don't want anyone to like burn me at the stake, but related to like hints, tips, and all that.
Let me get my pitch for a beer back.
I mean, I personally don't have a problem with hints and tips.
Yeah, and I don't either.
I can understand.
I've had that problem, right? And it's just like the reaction to this is just like, dude, like I have no ill intentions, right? I'm just trying to like talk about a game, right? Like, why are you making me feel bad?
Exactly, and that goes.
And that's the attitude of the streamer again.
Right. Yeah. That's the social aspect. That's like, hey, you're probably not very good at this in real life either. I say in real life as in off of stream, but you know what I'm saying. It's like like you realize that a lot of times, you know, these people probably wouldn't. You know, there's a lack of like understanding and empathy.
That's true.
Actually, okay, so we have been almost 45 minutes on this.
It's a good topic.
We have 3 more, and I don't want everyone to leave early, so we can actually get the time to talk about a little bit of all of it. So, I think this is also a great way to close it, as Overner said. You know, it's I think you put it in an excellent way. I wouldn't change anything actually. Okay. Topic number 2. And this is gonna be my opening statement, and this is all about achievements, toxicity, and self-imposed goals. And basically, my opening statement would be, I'd rather have no achievements at all than having some sort of measurement of how much content I can do in the game. And I think the lack of achievements actually helped me set my own goals to enjoy a game more. Who want to start against it? Or in favor?
What is an achievement?
What
I
is
don't
an achievement?
completely. I'm not going to start with that. You guys can argue about that. I don't agree with like the last thing you said, because I'm not a creative person. I'm gonna say I'm not as much as a gamer as the rest of you. I'm not like into the mesh of
Don't say
everything.
that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
I didn't say I wasn't a gamer. I said I'm not as much a hardcore gamer as you guys. I'm gonna say that. That's what I think.
Can you hear that? Can you hear those rees off in the distance?
But like, I'm not a creative person, therefore I wouldn't be able to set my own goals. Like if I play a game and there's no achievements, I'm not gonna do anything else with the game. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna try and do this, I'm gonna try and do that, because I'm just not going to. It's just not what I'm gonna do. But I would rather have 12 really good achievements rather than 200 where it's like kill 50 enemies, kill 100 enemies, kill 500 enemies, and it's like those are just useless. Whereas it's like story achievements I kind of like, even though they're kind of lazy achievements. It's like when you finish a chapter you get an achievement, because I have a bad habit of starting games and not finishing them. So if I get some achievements of stories, it kind of makes me feel a little good inside.
Right, because you're seeing progress.
Because I'm seeing progress. Yes, because that's a bad habit of mine. But
I think that's a good point that you bring, that actually bringing the sense that you're actually progressing in the game. It's a way to, I guess I would say tangible way to you know to tally that, right? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm like this far in the game. But I'm gonna put you an example. Like I'm gonna I guess I don't know if it's against, right, or in it goes with it. And this is one of the first points I wanted to bring. Is like a good game you will never pay attention, or I would say I never pay attention to achievements when I'm playing a good game. Like when a game actually has me in, like I'm gonna put an example of Witcher 3, which I'm gonna use as another example later. When I was playing Witcher 3, I didn't give a shit about the achievement. I was just playing the game. I was in the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. But for example, in contrast, not in contrast. That happened also with God of War, that you brought up War before, and that happened. For example, I'm not bringing. I said Witcher because I played Witcher first on PS4 and then on PC, and because on consoles achievements are also more, something in your face rather than on Steam or something. But for example, when I was playing Spider-Man, I wanted to do, hey, like, let me check this achievement or something like that. You know what I mean? However, I do think, and that's what I say in contrast, Spider-Man is still a good game, right? But I also made me care about them, you know.
I think the contrast of console achievements versus I think I want to start off a little broader. I want to say, first of all, I'm all for achievements, right? I have some strong opinions and criticisms on the actual system, right? That's been put in place since like the Xbox 360 and PS3 days, and it's the fact that achievements are now a requirement. At least I can't speak. I really don't remember for Steam, but I know that for Xbox and for PlayStation, achievements, your game must have achievements. You cannot put the game on the store you can't distribute that game on the console if you don't have achievements / trophies. And I think it leads to some really, really lazy thought, like just there's no thought put into the achievements, right? I think that achievements that are given to you for starting the game, for I mentioned this the other day off stream,
Yikes.
achievements for setting in your fighting game, for setting an avatar, a title, and a title background. That it's the 3 achievements that you always get in every fighting game. It's kind of useless. I think that it's like it's a boat that everybody jumped onto because it was a requirement, and now everybody just does it anyways and has no idea why they do it. It's just there's no point to them these days, and there are people who care. I can't say that I care that much. It's very, very rare the time. I don't think I have a single platinum on PS4.
Not even
I don't think so. I think there was. I got close in Blood. I got close, and it's not. I'm not saying I don't have a single platinum because I don't want to. I don't care, but I think I got close with Bloodborne because Bloodborne was one of the first games that made me feel like I want to do 100% of everything in this game. But then, I think I switched a hard drive and my cloud save didn't go through, and then I lost a bunch of progress, and I was like, I really, I want to do this one day. But right, like at the time I was busy. I was working full time and I was playing too many games. It was just whatever. So I never did it. But the point is, there are games where I do care about the achievements. There are games where I feel like, okay, I finished the game. Now I want to go back and I want to do these things. I'm really picky about it, right? Because if the game is, I'm like at the very end of Persona 5, right? But Persona 5 is a game that I have 140 hours in. Like, do I really want to go back? And it's purely linear. So do I really want to go back and like try to get a platinum on Persona 5? Probably not. It's going to take me another 500 hours. So there's games like that where I just choose not to care. But something like Bloodborne, that's sure I could do that because the more you know the game, the faster you can do it, right? And I think that like, so that's just one of the rewards that you can get from achievements, right? It's non-tangible. It's just a satisfaction with knowing that you got your money's worth from this game. You did everything you possibly could have in the game, and you've now officially completed it. Now, I think that, you know what? Let me not go ahead. Does anybody else want to say anything? Because I have a couple points, and I don't want to just keep on talking for 15 minutes. So go ahead.
I wanted to mention something related to MX's opening statement. So you mentioned you'd rather have no achievements than having some sort of measurement of how much content you can do in the game. So for me, I like the idea of achievements, if only for the fact that, well, one, I don't really find them intrusive because to me they're completely optional. And I like them because they offer a good means of replayability, right? So I wanted to go back to the idea of what do we define an achievement as. So,
and who do they appeal to, right? And what's the point from the developer's point of view? I want to clarify.
Yeah, and so an achievement is basically something you do successfully by effort, courage, or skill. I think some achievements get that completely wrong with just like booting up the game. Like, what does that prove, right? But there's some achievements that I genuinely like. and I like them because they test me in manners that I probably wouldn't do normally if there weren't some sort of like reward. Like I like the idea of being rewarded with a platinum trophy in Resident Evil 5 or 6 because I like the idea of having that sort of quote unquote tangible object as opposed to something like gamer score, which is just like a number, right? Like to me, I do feel some sort of like I do feel a sense of pride after getting the platinum because I busted my butt to just kind of try and conquer all the different challenges that were set upon the developers to the player, right? And I find that really rewarding, especially more so
Okay.
in a co-op game because you do need a partner in that game to get some of them. Kind of.
Do you think this actually like is makes way more sense when you are actually playing a game like all of you playing a game that's actually single player because it's just a challenge, as you said, put by the developers to test you, right?
Yeah.
Or for me, I guess like the more I think about it, the single playing games that I actually care about are the games that I might actually go and get the platinum for. But the multiplayer games I don't give a shit, like Destiny. But Destiny I got I think 100%, like 99% or something. Destiny 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't actually search for them. I just played the game.
They just happen naturally.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like the way to actually set single player games as competitive games? Like, but the thing is like, and that's the point of toxicity that I want to bring. Yeah. If I have a single player game that there is like a trophy that is really hard to get and I get it, I'm gonna be flexing it in a very toxic way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I disagree with that point only because I think that like it's only toxic if you mean it to be, right? Like if you take a trophy and you wave it in somebody's face saying like I'm better than you, I'm clearly better than you because I have this trophy and you don't have this trophy and you suck at this game and I'm better, and like it's like, I mean, it's sure, I mean, yeah, that's toxic, but like I don't think that's really like facilitated by the trophy. It's just a person who wants to be toxic who's using this as a tool because it's proof that they achieved something, right? They did something, whatever it was, and if in this case it's an achievement that was really difficult to obtain, and so yeah, they could use that to be toxic. I don't think it promotes toxicity at all. I don't think that the achievement system at all is something that's like, this is just asking to be abused.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that there are communities who are really competitive about it, right? Like and there are people who care so much about trophies that they will buy really terrible like indie games that have easy platinum so that they can bump up that number on their gamer score or whatever. I guess for other people who also do the same thing, because like I know I personally I know this makes it sound like I don't care about trophies. I do in a sense, right? It's been a long time since I've really revisited a game. I've been trying to do it more often now, but it's been a long time since I've sat down and revisited a game that I finished 3 or 4 years ago and thought, I'm going to replay this now and I'm going to try to complete it because, like, you know, I want to get I want to be a completionist and I want to get everything. But like, I think it's just like, you know, I like to have that option, but it's not something that's like a, you know what? I don't know. I kind of lost my what I was trying to achieve here, but no, achieve. I kind of lost what I was trying to get at. So you guys go ahead, and I'll gather my thoughts, and I'll
Adrian, go ahead.
Restate it.
The whole topic of being toxic, I think that relates to your attitude, your mental, how you think of being a good gamer.
If you're stupid.
Like, you could have the mentality that to be a good gamer you have to get all the trophies, so then you can flex that I have all the trophies, you don't, you're not good at games. Like, that relates to me, that relates to the attitude of the person. I've never really been one to focus on achievements. I think the only game I've actually cared and got all of them was Gris, and that was a 4-hour game, like,
right,
and it wasn't hard to get them all, but a lot of it.
Sorry, you said you got them all?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it didn't take that long, but because it's just a simple story game with some puzzles in it. But I mean, it's a great game. But Yeah, I've never really been one to care about achievements. My brothers like kind of educated me in games, and they've never really cared about achievements, so I don't.
Right. It's an
I mean,
in
like 200 achievements, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just not going to. Like, I like to. I'm a little bit OCD and like to be a completionist. And if there's like 200 achievements, I'm gonna feel like I didn't finish the game.
Yeah.
Like on that aspect of it, because even if there's a lot of easy ones, I'm just not gonna put the time into it because I can be lazy. I'm just not going to.
I want to point out real quick before Lee going ahead, that I think I have been careful not to say that there's a good way to be a gamer and a bad way to be a gamer. I guess we all agree in that, right? And I think this has more to do with the personality of the person playing, right? Okay,
Right.
go ahead, Lee.
Well, I was gonna agree with that point. I don't think achievements are inherently built as a sort of thing. I would say I don't really perceive achievements as a sort of thing as competition between others. I view achievements as primarily as something to help the individual compete with themselves, because most of these achievements are designed for the person playing the game, right? Like they're not designed in a manner that they're trying to highlight your skills versus someone else's, because they're showing what you're capable of, and they could be perceived in that way if you
Right.
want to compete. That said, let's try to look at this from a different perspective. So
Okay.
we've mentioned the idea of achievements could be used as sort of like looking at them in like a negative light for toxicity. Now, what if we try and throw in a sort of tangible reward for getting some of these achievements? And by that, a good example of that is the recon armor in the Halo games, right? Because to gain this, you have to do a set of various achievements throughout several Halo games. To my knowledge, I believe it's Halo 3, Halo ODST, those two. And
Mhm.
these achievements give you no gamer score, right? But if you do them all, you get a helmet. And this helmet proves that you're capable of doing something. So in
But it
this
also
manner,
means that you went ahead and you bought games and you're a big fan, that you're a better fan than any other people who doesn't
But
Right.
that's your attitude, right?
that's more of an attitude perspective.
I'm just saying because I never got it, right?
Okay,
Mhm.
I never got the helmet because I didn't get ODST, but I had 3, right? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I was also going to mention this could be viewed in a sort of toxic manner, because having a sort of tangible object, well, and I say tangible, right? But it's like a cosmetic
The
within
thing
the
that you
game.
get, yeah.
Yeah, like having a sort of reward behind that, it kind of creates a system of have and have nots. And if this guy has it, then it's like, man, this guy's better than me because he has like this cool, like flaming helmet, right? So in that manner, I can see how it would be possible to perceive the rewards you get from the achievements as a matter of toxicity. So you can probably say, oh, you know, I'm better than these guys because I have this. And granted, that's also a matter of perspective, but you at least have something tangible to show for it, like a badge of honor, so to speak.
Right. And I actually one of my points was gonna be I would rather have a tangible object attached to an achievement. Like just to give an example, and even though understanding that it will allow people who want to troll, people who want to flame, people who want to be dicks about it to be dicks, sure. And you know, it's just you're always going to run into that, right? Especially if you're playing like something like multiplayer, not so much in single player, but if you're playing something multiplayer and you have some sort of tangible proof that you did something more difficult than the average player can do, there will be the players who will not say anything about it, and there will be players who will be dicks about it. They will hold it over you. But that being said, I still do think that if we're going to keep achievements in games, and have them be such a prominent feature of the console specifically, because I want to bring them up because I think they're more important in consoles. It's almost a satisfying UI feedback thing where it's like I'll finish a chapter of a story and one will pop up and I won't even pay attention because I know it's okay, it's for completing the chapter. But sometimes I'll do something in a game, I don't know what I did. Maybe I killed an obscene amount of enemies with a single grenade throw or something, and an achievement will pop up, and I'll be like, whoa, what did I do? I don't even know what I did, and I will always hit the home button and check what was it that I just did. Or sometimes I'll complete a game, and I'll finish it. I'll watch the credits, and then I'll check my achievements, and it turns out I only got 9% of all the achievements in the game in that single run, and that intrigues me. I'm like, well, shit, what did I do wrong? Or what did I not do? Or what did I miss? And I think that is also something that like calls me back. So, I mean, in that sense, sometimes they do enough of a job to actually be worth existing. but I do think that there should be tangible rewards. For example, I think it's stupid that we pay. Well, I say we. I've never paid for them, but I think it's stupid that you can pay for avatars on your console. Why would I pay for a little picture to be next to my name? Why not attach that to achievements? You know, like if someone's got like a golden Master Chief helmet or whatever, why can't that be attached to some like getting like what's the equivalent of platinum on Xbox? Whatever. The achievement for achieving all achievements.
Dope
right?
gamer
Getting,
score.
You know, maybe you know, this person gets 100% of achievements in Halo 5, and they have a golden Master Chief avatar next to their game, next to the name in every other game. I'm playing Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and I see this dude who's got a golden Master Chief thing, and I know, holy shit, this guy, I know where that came from. You know, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that gives achievements an actual value to you and to other players, right? Because it's like people are seeing this stuff. Maybe sometimes, I know it's been on more than one occasion where I'm playing a multiplayer game and I see somebody who has something that I don't have, that is only achievable through some form of gameplay, right? Not microtransaction, not whatever. They killed 500 more enemies than I did in some thing, and they got a gun that looks fancier than mine. That will actually make me think, dude, I want to get that. And I have before sat there on my own and tried to grind out this thing that I saw somebody else had because I thought it looked really cool, and it made me go back and play this game even more. And so I think it's really smart. Hey, look, 343 puts in an achievement for, I mean, a couple portraits. And I'm not saying like every achievement needs to have one, right? Just like achieving like the most difficult achievements, and they have like a tangible reward that you can use and on the rest of the console, right? All of a sudden you're putting something in the game that will statistically, it has to inspire a small percentage of the people who see it to go and play your game.
What about, that gives me an idea. If you get a platinum, let's say on Destiny 2, you get 10% off, 20% off on DLC, right?
I mean, that makes sense too, because I mean, like you're not like, but then again, there's two arguments to it, right? The people who did put that much time into the game are the people who are most likely to pay full price for your expansion.
Pay full price. That's true.
Because they are obviously fans of your game. The person who has 2% of all the achievements is most likely not going to pick up your expansion.
What about if you get something you can sell in-game for in-game currency, like to players that will never do the full achievement stuff?
I get that. That's also really contextual though, because like that might work in I don't know.
Wow.
World of I was gonna say World of War. It might work in World of Warcraft, but it won't work so well in I don't know. Destiny
in a single player game, I guess. Either.
Well, yeah, in a single player game. Or I was trying to think of another multiplayer example, but it won't really work in something like Call of Duty or something like that, right? Because there's no interaction item wise between players. It's just, I mean, I picked up a dead dude's gun, but that's kind of it. Like,
spoilers.
Spoil.
Oh, trigger word.
I want to say real quick that something that you mentioned. I think both of you and Julian did that. No, it was you over there that said it was actually makes you go back when you actually finish the game and you see, let's say the game is having a story or an exploration. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing to go. I think I do it too. Go back and say, wow, I only got 20%, 9% or something. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what are the stuff that I'm missing? And I think that I'll be honest, that happens to me. That makes me actually. I think that's a point that Lee brought too. That is a replayability thing, right? That can help you. However, for example, and we haven't mentioned the PC aspect of this, because PC achievements, I don't think anybody gives a shit about. I have never met anyone who gives a shit about this, right?
It's not even satisfying to watch them pop up because they don't make a sound. They're not like
right. It's
I like when PlayStation trophies and Xbox trophies pop up. I like the sound.
It's like getting a like on Instagram or something. You know what I mean? That instant feedback.
It's a nice feedback. Steam is just like here
in
tiny
letters.
Be like, listen.
You got an achievement. Oh shit. And you know, the thing is, like, for example. And this brings me to my first point that I was making, is that if a game is good enough, you will, and it brings me to another point, right? That of self-imposed achievements, right? Mm-hmm. or accomplishments that are better to the life of the game because it's a testament of how good the gameplay is or how enjoyable the game is, right? An example of this, and have a lot of opinions on Hollow Knight, by the way. I could make a podcast of the whole thing. But Hollow Knight, I actually finished the game, and I want to be Hollow Knight again, like in the next topic. Hollow Knight, I finished the game and I actually went back and I say, wow, let me get a lot of things that I didn't get. And it's also related to a lot of things that I missed because I was streaming and story stuff and, you know, side missions or whatever. But the thing is, like, the gameplay aspect of Hollow Knight is so solid that I had to keep playing. You know what I mean? For me, it wasn't like, I mean, besides from the aspect that the game as a Metroidvania is too long, that's one thing. But the game as the game was designed and as how you control the character and everything is actually perfect, right? Let's say Celeste is the same way, right? I finish Celeste and I come back to Celeste and I play. You know what I mean? You can say that same thing about a lot of other games. Like, you wouldn't need, and these are games that are specifically playing on PC, you wouldn't need achievements for those because the game is so good that it will actually bring you back again, right? And this is also a testament of all the retro games that you can see, for example, on GDQ, on AGDQ, or games that are speedrun, and let's say Super Metroid, A Link to the Past, and things like that. The games themselves are actually excellent, and retro games never had achievements, and people still coming back to them, and they're part of, like, they made part of history. And it wasn't because of the achievements. It's because people kept coming back to them because they are gems, right? They are good games, and the people put challenges to say, wow, I want to finish Mario 3 without getting any single coin. I want to finish Mario 3 in less than 20 minutes, etc., etc., etc. Right? Like, that's also, I think, I would say, games wouldn't need them at all if the actual game is good. And that's my point of also how I brought The Witcher in the beginning. Go ahead.
I definitely understand that, and I mostly agree. But I do think that, like, I mean, obviously times change, the audience changes, the game industry changes. I think that to say that we should go back to what worked 30 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 15 years ago is, like, I mean, sure, it's a possibility, but I think that in for the sake of moving forward, I think what should happen is that if you're going to add some sort of pseudo reward, right, in the form of achievement, try to make it worth more rather than eliminating it because it's worthless, right? Try to make it worth more in the sense that, like, so that people can feel like they're getting more for their money in a time when people are complaining over and over with every new AAA release that they're just getting shafted. There's microtransactions, there's DLC, like pre-launch DLC, there's all this stuff, like, God, the packages of games are just getting smaller and smaller and smaller, which is why, like, these games come out these days which are complete packages. Like, I'm playing Resident Evil 2 remake, and there's multiple reasons to play the campaign more than once. There's unlockables for doing better. There's unlockables for doing better for doing, for completing it under a certain time in standard, for completing under a certain time in hardcore, for completing, there's a bunch of reasons why you should play this game again. Sure, it's a remake of an old game, which could also just serve to your point, like, games back then didn't need achievements. But, like, I think that what we should do is just reward people for playing your game more often, right? And right now, rewarding the person for playing the game more is done in the form of achievement. Why not tie that in? In Resident Evil, whenever you get an achievement, you are also awarded a piece of concept art, or a 3D model of an enemy or a gun or a character that also goes hand in hand with that, right? When I complete something, when I reach this invisible goal, or sometimes a not invisible goal in the form of an actual achievement, I'm awarded something that might be really small. It's just a piece of concept art that they use, but there are people like myself who really appreciate that kind of thing. I really like to look at it. I do sometimes boot up the game and I'm like, I should start a run. I should practice, and I'll just, like, go through the bonuses and, like, look through the art and stuff like that. Just because I really like the game and I want to immerse myself more into it. And I think that that's, like, a reason I would actually go ahead one day if I was bored enough. I'd be like, you know what? I'm missing, like, these 3 pieces of concept art, and I know that I need to kill 15 lickers for this and whatever, I don't know what, like, do something to get this one, and I would do that. And I do like that sort of tangible reward where when I open my game, I feel like I have a bunch of stuff here that's more than what I bought because I played this game a lot and I unlocked a bunch of stuff. So I'm not saying that they should remove achievements from games, although I do think that a good game speaks for itself, and replayability is done through excellent design, right? Or I should say replayability is encouraged by excellent design.
Right.
But it never helps to reward your players with small little tidbits of like more of excess game that they wouldn't have put in the game otherwise, or they would have put as like DLC or something. It just feels like just people want more these days. So I think that developers should take that extra tiny bit of effort to include something else, even if it doesn't mean adding extra levels, adding extra modes, even on adding extra items or whatever. In the case of Resident Evil, it's just put something in there so that when I earn an achievement, I'm given something that, you know, that I can appreciate, rather than just a stamp that says like, you know, this player killed 500 zombies or whatever. I feel like rewards need to be rethought, and they need to stop meaning nothing except to the niche group of people who do care so much about gamer score and stuff that they want that getting the achievement itself and having more achievements is the reward, right? Because that's not the typical gamer. That's not your average casual gamer. That's not your average hardcore gamer, because you can be casual or hardcore and still never give a shit about achievements. Right.
Fair enough.
So,
Fair enough.
yeah. Anyways,
Lee, do you want to elaborate a little bit more?
I don't think I really had too much to say about this, but there was one thing I wanted to mention regarding the idea between like self-imposed rules versus achievements. I really don't feel like achievements are a problem, simply due to the fact that how different are they from the self-imposed rules, right? I think the big difference is that they're just explicitly mentioned to the player from the outset. And for what it's worth, I think sometimes it's a good thing, because I wouldn't really think of doing this like otherwise, because like I probably wouldn't think of doing a knife only run in Remake like just for the sake of doing it if I had like no sense of like incentive to, right? I could do it just for me saying like, yo, that'd be cool to do. But I think it's better that it's explicitly mentioned, and I have at least something, maybe not like an actual reward for doing it, but at least something that helps with it. And I don't really think we need to like regress back to like the former way of doing that, because even with achievements, we can still have like the game can still shine through its, you know, gameplay and merits and all that, of course.
Yeah, no, of course.
But the idea of self-imposed challenges, like that's still here to stay, right? And like we still won't be getting rewards for that kind of thing if it's not explicitly mentioned by the achievement. So regarding replayability in that factor, like we still have the best from the old games, but we also have more suggestions for ways to play the game, which I don't think is bad.
Okay. I think that that also the self-challenging gamer is also still very much the minority as well. And so that's why my points are more trying to think of like the everyday, you know, the casual consumer, right? Trying to think of like how to make this work for basically everybody, because your hardcore gamer is also going to want to complete everything and get everything right. But then the person who doesn't care that much is just buying it for the hype, and this is what all my friends are playing. Also still get some sort of reward. But I think that the self-challenging gamer is just always going to be there. It's been there since the beginning of gaming and will always be there. There will always be that person who likes something so much that they will make excuses for themselves to play it more, right?
Okay.
And to challenge themselves.
Okay, Adrian, any closing statements before we move on?
I just want to say that if achievements had tangible or like just rewards in general, like concept art, like Overnerd was saying, I would care more. Like as someone that doesn't really care, I would care more about achievements, because as that completionist in me, I would try and get them all. Like for Gris, if you get an achievement of all these things, you do get something at the end. And I found that it ended up clarifying the game a little bit, actually. So like it just in that aspect, I would say if I got something, I would be more apt to do the achievements.
I actually to close with that, actually I remember games like, for example, Ratchet and Clank, or you know, those old school games, Pyro, things like that you play them, and the old achievement used to be that you just unlock concept art, or like in Melee you get trophies, you know, that are like of characters and things like that. And
I used to
and
love that. Man.
yeah,
I
me
used to
too,
love
actually.
The trophies.
and it just make you play the game more, and you're just having
Mhm.
fun. Actually, it's a game design, so you can play forever, basically. But one last thing is that one last example is in Warframe, you get art that you can actually use as a decoration by actually scanning things. Because there's achievements that you can get through Steam, but if you actually put the time to scan, and which actually you can do automatically if you had a certain Sentinel, companion, you will get art just by playing the game, right? And going different places, which I think is a great idea. And it's always nice to come back to the decorations and see all the things that I have unlocked that I can put on the space, right?
Yeah, dude. Prodman, man.
I know, right? Like a Prodman is there is this character called John Prodman. It's an achievement. There is this mod on Warframe that is like called the Index. That basically is the mode that you use to get money. The credits inside one of the currency, I guess, because it has infinite currencies. If you actually last 1 hour in the Index, there's a character called John Prodman that appears. I don't think you get an achievement, but you get a poster that you can put as a decoration, right? And that's also putting. I think I would say that's more as an Easter egg, because I didn't know about that until like 8 months in. 8 months in on Warframe, right? And I think that's the kind of stuff, right? It's not easy to do. It's hard. You need to actually organize well. Great. I think that was pretty good. I think we can move on to the third topic. Are you guys good?
Yeah.
I wanted to actually mention something about a transition to that. Speaking of scanning, another game that happens to do that also rewards the player is Metroid Prime. And in addition, in addition to that, not only do you get concept art, but you can get a better ending.
That was a good segue.
I'm gonna get so triggered right now, because I'm gonna tell you something, okay? Because this is the topic that actually gets me triggered, because I'm gonna bring Hollow Knight on this shit, okay? I'm gonna tell you what the fuck is going on, right? This is the third topic, okay? Alternate endings within games, okay? And this is my opening statement, right? There are like many games that offer like a widely a range of endings, right? And what I'm going to say about this first is having multiple endings is detrimental to the satisfaction of closing the story of a game, and an insult to how much the player has done in the game or not. And I use these words because recently, the first game I played this year on stream was Hollow Knight, okay? Right? I rated Hollow Knight 8.7 out of 10, right? And it was gonna be a 10 out of 10 game. Not 10 out of 10. It was gonna be high score. It was gonna be like 9.5, right? Because if you have seen my journey, some of you have, I was crying, begging for a double jump in the game. And when I got it, it was the best moment of my life. One of the best moments in games, right? They actually finally gave me what I wanted, right? However, I do have opinions about that, about when they gave it to me, right? That the messenger did that way better than them. But when I found out on Hollow Knight that there are 5 different endings, I actually flipped the shit. I almost wanted to stop playing and not go to the final boss. Because I'm gonna tell you something, okay? As a Metroidvania, Hollow Knight was very fucking... I'm not saying Hollow Knight is not a great game. Hollow Knight is a great game. But the only reason that I wouldn't recommend the game... Not the only. There's some design decisions that are like weak. One of the bigger reasons that I wouldn't recommend the game for other people, and I always praise the game, but I wouldn't recommend it, is because they actually force you to get 5 different random shit that you need to do to actually get a better ending. In a game of that category, as a Metroidvania, imagine playing Metroid, Super Metroid, and finding out that if you don't save the animals, you don't get the right ending. That if you don't get 50 tanks, all the tanks, you don't get the right ending. That if you don't kill Mother Brain in a certain way, you don't get the right ending. That if you miss one boss, let's say the secret boss, you don't get the right ending. And you need to do these 5 random different things in an exploration game. Like in a game that is, what do you call it? Ability gated game. That there is something that you don't do, and then boom, oh yeah, you got the bad ending. Oh shit, I'm not gonna spoil what happens at the end of Hollow Knight, right? But holy shit, right? I'm gonna tell you something. Also, I'm gonna put this example of
Promise.
The
Bring it.
Witcher, and I love The Witcher is one of my top 5 games ever, and The Witcher has variations of endings that I can make up to more than 35 endings, right? Because there is something that you can do with Ciri, with what's the girl? Jennifer, you know, with all the Witchers that you find, with the final battle of Karen Moran, and there's a lot of things that you can do, and that depends also on the people that you meet on your quest, the things that you do on your quest, the things that you get, etc. Right? I'm gonna tell you something, right? That's different, right? Because the thing is, like, it's an open-ended thing. It's not a Metroidvania, and a Metroidvania game like Hollow Knight shouldn't have done that. And I hate it because of that. Right? I don't hate it. I love it. But I hate that they did it. And that just makes me not recommend the game as a Metroidvania game. It's a great game by itself. Okay, take it away. You guys go. You guys go.
Okay,
Go ahead,
well, I want
go.
to ask you a couple things about Hollow Knight. Are you mainly mad because it's conveyed poorly what you need to get? Or are you mad that you get the bad ending by default?
Obscure objectives too, because the backtracking is excessive and obsessive too. Right? I don't mind backtracking. That's the point, right? They are not clear in many things. You know, the things like, I'm not gonna give them the benefit of the doubt because there were so many fucking good things that they did with the game. For them to get so other things that are so wrong, you know? Go ahead.
Can I add something? Because I am all for well, let me rephrase this. I'm all for the concept of multiple endings. I say the
Okay.
concept because nobody has ever fucking pulled it off. Ever. Because still to this day, I need more arms to this armchair because I'm sprouting the beard from my neck right now. Dude, listen, stop making the bad ending the one that you're going to get
The default ending.
8% of the time when you play the game. Because I can't tell you how many games I've played that I know have bad endings, right? I mean, sorry, that I know have multiple endings, and I've gotten to the bad ending, and the game gives you the game is rendered in full 3D or whatever, the super high production AAA game, and the ending is like a comic book strip. The ending's a comic book strip that says like, and so and so continued on and I don't know, fucking died or something. I really, you made me go 50 hours to get this ending, and it's like, and then you go, you look it up, and it's like, well, you should have gotten the good ending. How?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So you're telling me the first thing I needed to do from the get-go, if I could only play this game one time, I should have booted up the game and loaded up the walkthrough and just like had somebody hold my hand throughout the entire game so that I could get an ending that I deemed satisfactory instead of being like, yeah, so all that stuff you did, you lost. Bye. It sucks.
Right.
You should
It
have
sucks,
played
sucks to be
again.
you. Yep.
Yeah.
It's no, dude. What? I'm not saying that they should make the good ending by default, but I'm saying if you're that, like, you're this passionate game designer, like, I'm gonna make multiple, and my story is so complex that it can't end just one way. I have so many ideas that I need to put in this. Then be smarter, do it better, right? Make each ending compelling, even the bad one, where like the world is led to destruction. Write it well. It doesn't mean that the good ending has to be like it's like the good ending is this just masterpiece of game design and writing, and then the bad ending is like a picture of a middle finger with "fuck you" written in Comic Sans, and it's like, just think it, write it well, just write it out. Like, you get your good ending done well and get your bad ending done well as well. It's just, go ahead.
Somebody mentioned Castlevania Rosora on the comments. I'm gonna say something. Castlevania Rosora is one of my top 3 games, and Lee knows this, and I think Overnight does too.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you something about Castlevania as a Metroidvania. That they all have the thing of You need a certain way to kill the boss to continue playing to get the actual real ending. It's not an alternate ending. It's that if you do it well, if you can do the fight, it's not that you get there and you, oh shit, like I think there is like Donald Sorrow, you need to wear a ring or something like that. I think get the talisman so you see something happening in the battle, right? But the thing is, like, the hints are already there in the battle, right? And you can finish it and come back to it, right? It's not like, oh shit, I need to backtrack all this stuff that I have no idea what to do, or start over again to actually get it. Like, Castlevania as a Metroidvania is a different thing than actually Mass Effect or Witcher or Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight tried to do way too much with that, right? Sorry, I just wanted to mention that.
Well,
Lee,
like,
go ahead.
Castlevania, if anything, it's worse than Hollow Knight, I would argue, because not in terms of conveyance. Yeah, I know Castlevania guys, I'm talking in series, right? But the problem is you miss out on like a lot of gameplay. Symphony of the Night, for example, you miss out on like half the game if you don't save Richter Belmont, which is a problem because if you're doing it for the first time, then
you know what? Okay. Fair enough. Considering also Symphony of the Night was the first Castlevania to actually try to do Metroidvania style, right? And actually pull off the holy shit is the same thing upside down. It's a weird, completely different way. I think because of the intention, right? I think I can let it go. You know what I mean?
Can you let it go in the other Castlevania games? Because they still adhere to this as well.
No, the thing is, like, they don't put. It's not half of the game that you lose, though, in the other Castlevania games.
Right? I would argue that it kind of is, because in Castlevania Order of Ecclesia, you don't fulfill the requirement of saving all the villagers. You don't even get to go to Dracula's castle. In Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, you miss the final 4 portraits. So in Portrait of Ruin, you miss the final 4 portraits, and you don't even get to fight Dracula there. Dawn of Sorrow, you miss out on like several areas, not as much. Of course.
Do you think it's as obscure as Hollow Knight was then?
As obscure, it depends on the game. Dawn of Sorrow is very explicit because it tells you what you have to wear to prevent yourself from getting hurt.
Right.
Portrait of Ruin tells you that you have to save the sisters, but you don't know where it is, so you can be wandering forever. Order of Ecclesia, it shows you like where the villagers are, so it gets better in that, and that's mandatory. Symphony of the Night, to my knowledge, it doesn't tell you at all. It doesn't tell you that you need 2 rings to save Richter.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, but it tells you like to where the holy glass is, right? Kind of, it's implied, but you don't know where to get the rings, and the castle's pretty big, so unless you have a guide,
but the thing is, like, also they reward you for exploration, right? The thing is, like, you can actually go and explore as much as you can, as you did in Hollow Knight. And my point is, with Hollow Knight, it's not that it was like 1 or 2 endings, right? As there in Castlevania, right? 1 or 2 endings is fine. Like, oh shit, I missed that. If I put more effort, if I explore a little bit more, I can get it, feel satisfied. Oh shit, that game was amazing. Considering that if with the amount of play time that you're gonna put is gonna be maybe 1 or 2 hours more, right? Because no Castlevania is as long as Hollow Knight, right?
That's true.
Every Castlevania is at least a third of the time, right? It's like the right amount of time for a Metroidvania type of game, in my opinion, right? But then Hollow Knight, you put 25 hours, and then you have 5 different things that you need to do, random shit that is super obscure. And that's my problem, right?
The thing with that is that you're still able to like finish like the bulk of the game. Even with the worst ending, you only really need to accomplish like a few more things.
I personally felt attacked and disrespected, let me tell you.
Okay, that's fair. And I do too, right? But like, you still get the bulk of the gameplay, right? Because you're playing for 25 hours and you still get to the ending, right? You can play for a lot less time and miss out on like half the game in the other instances, right? And in my opinion, I think it's done worse in those games because of that. Because like,
okay. I actually see your point, and I think it's fair. Even though I do love Castlevanias, I can't fail to see. Even your name, right, Belmont, right? I cannot deny, right, that they're not perfect games. You know what I mean? But my gripe is more with Hollow Knight. It was disrespectful, dude. It was like they were adding. Well, how do you see that thing? Injury.
Insult to injury.
Fucking insult on top of it. Oh. Anyways, any more about Hollow Knight, because there's like other points that I want to make about this.
I'm good.
You
I
good?
can't think of anything else. I mentioned
I,
like when
So
related to that.
I want to bring up um before I jump to Fallout 4, which I want to use as an example, them having 4 different endings. I think it is endings, right?
Hmm.
When you were playing Mega Man 2 today, right?
Oh boy.
And I remember you getting triggered. There's a lot of things about the game, right? That I thought actually added one extra point today to the thing to my notes is that one way to actually handle the better ending is giving a hard mode instead and reward the player for actually finishing the hard mode, right? Right? For example, in Lisa that you played, there are extra things that you get for playing on pain mode, right?
That is true. There are
And
more
it's
things that
absolutely rewarding to go through that, right? Would you agree?
reasonably. I think it changes up a couple things, but I don't think it changed up a severe amount of things that really made the playthrough more enjoyable. If anything, I found it less enjoyable in some instances because my big grievance with it is that I had to change the way that I played that game in a manner that made me annoyed and uncomfortable because you have a limited amount of save points in pain mode. The things that are added in pain mode, they tweak several encounters. They add one area you can go to that only supplies the player lore, and the only thing they change with the ending is a different epilogue, which gives the player more lore. Those are the only
Well, the
differences.
thing is like that's a reward. That's absolutely like if you're into the story because that game is there's a lot of lore to it of over what's happening about the relationship of the characters and motivations too, right?
Right.
That piece of lore actually adds a lot for the player as a reward to think about it and to expand the world that that is there, right?
Yeah.
And
And
for
I enjoyed
example, right?
and I enjoyed the epilogue, but I didn't. But the journey to get there didn't really feel like it was too worth it,
Fair
considering I
enough.
spent like 12 or 15 hours to do that for one
Okay.
scene.
What do you guys think at reading over? Do you guys think that a better way to handle multiple endings is giving a hard mode? Or do you
I
think that again that's a lot of extra work because maybe the game is gonna be shit and the journey is gonna be painful and you don't wanna do the whole journey just to get that. Let's say for example, I include one thing of the last topic is that let's say they include an achievement that is like if you finish the game on NG Plus, then you get the platinum, right? What is the reward worth, right? Is it like a better lore, a good ending, a good achievement? What is it?
I don't know. I think that's one way to do it, right? Adding a separate ending to a second playthrough. I think this is a good example is Resident Evil 2 remake. The fact that you don't get the true ending until you finish the second run. It's when you complete the game. You start a new game. You choose whether you're going to play Leon or Claire. You choose your character. You play through the game, and as soon as you finish, there is a new option on the main menu. You can still start a new game, but there's a new game that says "New Game" parentheses second run. You start a new campaign with the second character that you hadn't played in the first run, and you are essentially playing the same game, but with select differences. It's more streamlined. They're not making you sit and watch the same uh, exact things that you watched the first time. They cut off a few of the extra parts, right? They trim a little bit of the fat. They do add a couple new segments here and there, and you have different paths to the same objectives essentially, and they switch around the locations of a couple key items, right? And when you complete this second run, which is because some of the fat is trimmed off, it is shorter. I mean, by comparison, I think my first blind run took about 6 hours, and my second run took about 4, which is above average. I believe the second run is estimated to take less than what I took on the second run, but I spent some time being confused and getting lost because I wasn't aware. It's been a long time since I played the original one, so there was a lot of differences that I wasn't aware of that I could actually just flat out skip or ignore because I was playing the second run. But overall, the second one's more difficult. The enemies are the AI is smarter. The zombies and stuff will do some things that they don't do in the first run. They test a couple of your habits by simply just switching it up a little bit, and then by the time, long story short, you finish the second run and you're rewarded with an an entirely new. I mean, this is a spoiler, but I'm not going to talk details about it. It's been the
Take
same.
my headphones off. No.
It's been the same since the original game, but you're given a boss battle that you don't get during the first run. So
Okay.
you get to the point where you think, okay, cool, game's over, but it's not. There's an extra battle that comes afterwards, and you're given the proper ending to Resident Evil 2, the actual conclusion that you, again, were not given during that first playthrough. Does that mean that doing only new game and playing only one of the two characters is an incomplete package? To the average gamer, not really. I mean, you do get an ending. Is it the true ending? It's not. I guess it's a little open-ended. You do feel like you should probably play the second run, right? But I think that the game does a good enough job of encouraging that, in the sense that like it gives you a scoring at the end, right? So sometimes you want to play the second one because you want to feel like you did better, and also the fact that there's two characters just is it's a big motivator for replayability, right? Because they're like, okay, well, I'm going to play it from the other character's point of view and see what's different. You know, maybe you've never played Resident Evil 2 before, and you don't know that it's going to be more or less the same story with a couple different twists on it. But I mean, most people would think that like, yeah, let me see what it's like with the other character. I think that is a good way to handle multiple endings. I mean, again, it's a strange example because it's not technically multiple endings as much as an extended ending.
Okay. Which I'm actually love that give you more, right?
Right.
Not
It's
not
just,
an alternate thing.
and I think that it makes a lot of sense because you're creating this for the people who liked it enough that they want to play it again. They want to do it again. So
Replayability.
they're not giving you something that the average, casual player would never even have a clue what it's about. It's just more like, hey, look, it ended before, but here's a little bit extra so you can kind of see just a little, if you wanted to know more because you played more, so you wanted to know more. Here's a little bit extra for you to take and to digest. And so I feel like that is a good way to handle it. I don't know if that's the way to handle it for all multiple ending games. Again, there's games like The Witcher that have way too many endings for a system like that, but I think that like in RPGs like that do have so many decisions, and it's very clear that you have multiple decisions throughout the game because people ask you these questions that are not just, hey, what color do you want, blue or less blue? It's like it's complete black and white options. Like one has these repercussions that are going to be completely different than if I had just flat out said like no, or never even did this quest and just continue the game without doing it. I think that like those games do their best to let you know just through your gameplay options that you can probably get multiple endings to this. Even if you never go online and check whether or not the game has multiple endings, it does enough of a job to teach you like you're probably these decisions actually do matter. Yeah. And now the bad or good ending is really defined by what I deem to be appropriate during the choices, making all these choices that I was presented during the game. I think you're less likely to feel like you got the bad or good ending because you have complete control over what you're doing, right? You're given, right. It's not one or two choices that are hidden from you that will lead to this ending that you had no idea was coming. It's more like, look, did you tell so-and-so this and this person that and this person that, and were you dishonest here, and did you like tell something completely different over here? Like if you're unorganized and you're not thinking about what the decisions you're making, then you can't really be surprised when you get an ending that's not that great. So
you'll say it's justified based on the
when it's written
players. Okay.
When it's written well and when it's conveyed that you can actually, when the fact that you have multiple endings is conveyed as well as a game can, because without having to put up a pop-up that says like, hey, this decision matters in the end, this will affect how the game ends, right? Because I don't like it when games do that. I mean, not saying that I hate it every time, because there are definitely times where a game will break that immersive barrier and will say like, it'll pause everything. It'll be like, hey, this is the point of no return. Like,
right.
If you better save now because it's ending from here. And
it's destroying the town in Fallout 3, I think, when you bomb it. Megaton?
Yeah.
I think it tells you, right? Like, hey,
I think
you're gonna lose the town.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But like sometimes Witcher 3 doesn't do that. Witcher 3 doesn't say like, look, this decision that you made with I forget his name. This decision here is going to affect what's going to happen later down the line. You just have to kind of trust the game and assume and trust the gamer as well, yeah, as a developer, and assume that like, okay, like we're giving them some very clear choices here and they're very different from each other. You know, these vary wildly. So hopefully they can learn from that. You both go ahead, both of you.
I'm gonna tell you something now about Witcher specifically.
Mhm.
I didn't know that I had to taking that, you know, when you actually find Siri and you actually interact with her, there are 8 different times that you have a choice of, you know, reprimand her or like, you know, correct her, or
Right.
to let it pass or play with her or like ignore it. And you know, as Gerald being, you know, basically, you know, how would you say, like, you know, the whole premise of the game is trying to find Siri, like the whole quest. You know, there is a relationship that they have. The thing is also, it's up to the player to decide, depending on how crazy or silly or stupid or smart the thing that Siri does, or juvenile, right, that Siri does. You have a decision of like interacting with that. However, that does affect if she actually stays with you or not. Or she no, if that does affect how she feels about you at the end, but it doesn't affect if she stays with you or not, because if you make a deal with the king guy, the whatever dude, she can actually end up with him as a princess, right? And that happened to me. She actually was gonna stay with me. Like, we built a good relationship because I didn't, you know, got upset about the things that she did. But she ended up with the king, and I'm like, oh shit, I wanted her to be a Witcher. You know what I mean? And I got all other endings, all other like sections good, right? I think there was just one person that didn't join the battle at the end, but I got all the Witchers and everything and whatever, right? Oof, I just remember something that happened that makes me sad. You guys know the Vesemir thing, but
Yeah.
oh god. Anyways, that was for me a very super letdown, because the thing is, like, I was doing, I wasn't playing as MX, you know, or as a good guy. I was playing as Gerald. You know what I mean? And that's one thing about RPGs, that you're playing like them, right? And you think like, what will he do? What will she do? You know, in this situation. And it actually got me to get a lot of good things. Anyways, I know I'm expanding way too much. So go ahead, Lee.
MX, I wanted to ask you, going back to that topic about sort of like delegating endings to difficulties. There were 2 games in particular that I wanted to kind of briefly bring up. They weren't on the the outline, of course, but an example of this kind of being a good thing is in Kingdom Hearts 2, where there is an epilogue if you beat the game both on normal and proud mode. But for proud mode, you don't have to fulfill the extra requirements of filling out the entire journal for normal mode. So in that regard, I think it's good that there's sort of like an alternate ending that the player can earn in that. And compared to Lisa, I think it's kind of unfair that it's like delegated to only pain mode, because you're essentially having to change completely how you play related to that. And another thing I wanted to talk about is the idea of, what if endings are like completely locked behind difficulty? And my example behind this is in Cuphead, if you beat all the bosses on easy mode, you cannot finish the game. You flat out can't get the ending. You have to do it on the normal mode of the game. And I think that's
that. I played on normal, actually.
Right. And I played it on normal too.
Yeah.
But for people who didn't do that, their lack of skill doesn't allow them to see the end of the game, which is like kind of like that's not really cool, right? Like, you don't give someone a reading check at the end of a novel saying like, okay, do you know what this word means? Okay, you're not going to finish that novel, right? Or a movie.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess, like, I would say it depends. You know what I mean? Like, on the type of the game and, you know, how it's handled. And I was gonna bring the example. I was gonna ask Adrian about, what do you think when it actually you do everything, and at the end it asks you, like, it's the classic, you want to kill this person or you don't, right? Let's say, for example, I don't know, I cannot, because Adrian is gonna play Dark Souls. Like, they're gonna give you an opportunity to kill the person or not, or to go the right way, or the whatever. Like, it doesn't matter what you do in the whole game, but at the end you have a choice. But that choice is also a good ending and a bad ending. But if you are role playing, sometimes you are like, oh, my character is bad. I obviously gonna kill this person. But then you get the bad ending, right? And then you're like, oh, what the fuck? I was just having fun. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think about that, Julian? Take it away.
Narrow down your question a little bit. My brain's going all over the place.
Yeah, I want to put it as an example, right? If you're playing a game and at the end, you think this is the best way, one of the good ways to handle an alternate ending. You're playing the whole game, and at the end, they ask you to make a choice.
That would affect the ending.
That will affect the ending. What do you think?
If I can save before that point, I think it's okay. Because then I can go back and play both endings.
Overnerd is gone. So I guess he's gonna come back. Sorry, go ahead, Adrian.
Do I keep going? Okay. Back to the different endings for different difficulties. Like the whole thing about Cuphead on easy mode, don't think that you shouldn't be able to finish the game based on your ability to finish the game. Like you should be able to get an ending, at least some kind of ending. Maybe like for Cuphead, it should be like each difficulty is like just more like a longer of an ending. And then having a better ending on a harder difficulty, I think is wrong, if that's a thing, because I'm not super hardcore. I don't have like all these gamer skills. I just play games. Like, I don't really like doing harder modes because I'm not as good at games. I don't have that whatever. So I think maybe just a different ending, not a bad or good ending, would be better, because then you're like, oh, I can get a different ending, not like a true ending or like a more true ending. It's just more to it, or it's just a completely different scenario. And then making decisions throughout the game. You guys were saying like it will say this choice will affect your gameplay. That's how I play games anyway, because I am such a perfectionist, completionist, whatever. I want to play the game to get the best ending that I can.
Possible, yeah.
That's just like I always want to have the best of everything. That's how my brain works. So it doesn't matter if the decisions will affect or not. I'm gonna try and choose that anyway. So that point I don't really care as much, because I'm just gonna do that anyway. Whether it tells me this is gonna affect it or not. I might be a little disappointed that it doesn't affect it, but I'm still gonna do it anyway. And then back to the point where playing it again, like replayability. My brother showed me this game that it was a narrative game. You just walk through and there's like stories on the walls, and it was like you're this person, and I think you had died or something, but you're going through around this island, and there's narratives on the wall, and each time you play, there's more story. Like there's more writing on the wall every single time you play. So it's not really a true ending. It's just you know more about what's happening.
Right.
And there's like this shadow out of the corner of the screen, and then if you look at him, he disappears, and just the more you play it, the more you know. I forget what it's called. My brother knows, and I played it years ago, but I think that aspect's kind of neat. But there was no like, it was just a walking simulator with story simulator. Like it's not like it was a game. Dear Esther, yeah, that's what it was.
I was thinking it might be Dear Esther.
Yeah, I played it years ago, so I thought that was neat. But I think like the difficulty lock should just be a different ending and not a better ending or a more true ending. I don't think a game should have 39 endings either, unless you can accept that, because I think of it as completionist. I'm not going to play the game 39 times to get all the different endings, even though I want to. And then I feel like I've never completed the game.
Right. It's unfair to the player, to the time.
To me, yeah.
Respect of time.
In my opinion, it's unfair. And I was watching someone play Red Dead Redemption 2, and your ending is based on how you play throughout the game. Like you're a cowboy. If you're like murdering everyone, that's going to affect how you end the game. There's like some kind of point, like honesty points, or I didn't really pay attention.
Or mercenary.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, and the streamer was so disappointed because he was actually on the verge of in between, and he ended up getting the crappy ending. And he was like, I'm not going to replay this whole game just to get a better ending. Like, that's too long of a game to replay, because that's so many things you can do, unless you like speed run it or something. But yeah. And then I want to bring up, I think multiple endings, having a lot of multiple endings is okay if it's the point of the game. Like, I'm gonna bring up Detroit Become Human. That has like so many different endings, but that game is based on choices you make.
Choices. Yeah, absolutely agree. Absolutely.
That's a different mechanic. And then, like, I was watching someone play Horizon Zero Dawn. It's like the strength, the heart, and the brain. It's like you choose, you know which one you're choosing, and then you can see how you play it throughout the game. That I would be okay with as well, because I wouldn't replay that game many times if I were to play it, but I would know what I'm choosing.
Right. Yeah. A point about Detroit is that Detroit gives you the tools to also just. I'm hearing my.
Yeah, I'm hearing you twice too.
It's not
Spooky.
me, is it?
No, it's fixed now.
Oh, okay. I was saying that Detroit gives you the tools that you need to see all of its different endings.
Yes, you can jump around
in intelligent ways, right? Because you can go load up the tree and load up a specific point and be like, I'm just gonna play it from here forward to see what would have happened had I done this or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes. I mean, that's a really extreme case because Detroit and Heavy Rain are kind of games that are in a genre of their own at this point, because not many people have done that deep of a choose your own adventure kind of system in a game before. But those are the ones that it's like where the decision to include alternate endings is well thought out and intelligently designed, and I feel like that's where it works the best. Whereas like just where, circling back around to the whole beginning of this topic, it's just when it's not conveyed properly and you have no idea that there's multiple endings, and instead you're just presented with the shitty ending, or like, I haven't finished Red Dead Redemption 2. I didn't know. I mean, I'm in the middle, right? And I think the average person is going to be in the middle between like, I'm not going to kill everyone in the game, but I'm also not going to be like a saint and never have any fun.
Yeah.
So like so it turns out that if I continue down this path that I'm going, I'm going to get the bad ending because I'm just playing it how I play it, right? Where I'm like, I've committed way too many crimes. I have to like chill out. So I'm in the middle. So it just, then that just goes to say, like I said, like 98% of games, they come out, if they have multiple endings, you're always going to get the bad one. If you don't try and follow the specific path to getting the good ending. And that's just not like, especially when your game is, I don't know how long Red Dead is, but it's very long. Like if let's say it's 60 hours, like really, am I going to replay 60 hours to get a better ending, or am I going to go look it up on YouTube?
Right. That's the important thing. We also need to consider the idea, like, are some of these endings just meant to be like just a reflection of like how the player's playstyle is, and we only kind of watch the one that we get, such as one of The Witcher's 39 endings, rather than it being sort of like a good, like explicitly like defined like good or bad ending that seems like feasible to do given the amount of time that we put into the game, or how long the game is rather.
Okay, so one thing, we're over 2 hours already, and what I want to do is I want to leave it there, right, for the first episode. I hope you guys, what do you guys think? The thing is that I know I don't want to make it too late. I said it was gonna be around 2 hours. However, I do think it was actually pretty fucking fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you guys have been here with me and have like being in this first episode. What I want to do is, I want to thank the chat. Chat was very active, which is actually part of my fucking joy in life. You know what I mean? Thanks to everyone for all the viewers who have been here. Actually, now I want to open real quick, couple minutes. If anyone has a question for any of the streamers here, about their streaming life or about what do they stream, and after that, then I want you guys to say a closing statement of hey, this is what I stream, this is me, come watch me, and any all that, and then we can close the podcast there. So let's open this. Let's see if Chad has anything to say. Now is the time. But I'm gonna start saying thank yous to the chat, right? What we had. I saw here my boy Pontiff, as always. Classic Juke, musically inspired. Dummy Undercover, the Ill Chemist, Die Espresso. We had
Vince was there.
Vince
was
Nitro showed up. Yeah, so. I'm seeing
MacGyver.
here. Sorry?
MacGyver the Hero was there.
MacGyver the Hero. And yeah, actually the cool thing about Chatterino is that I can go all the way up, looking down. Twin Thumb show for a little bit too. Yeah, I mean Lord Reginald also. Thanks a lot, everyone. Let's see. So I guess like we're gonna leave the questions there. If anything, go follow Adrilian, JustLeeBelmont on Overnet. I'm gonna give Adrilian the microphone now. So Adrilian, promote whatever you want. Go.
I try and be a variety streamer. Sometimes I get stuck on one game for 3 weeks. But lately I've been playing
3 weeks. Sorry. Go ahead.
Shut up. Lately I've been playing point and click adventures like Monkey Island and stuff like that. But this Wednesday I'm gonna be starting a blind playthrough with no tips, no hints, no spoilers.
Oh, I guess I'm not watching.
Bloodborne. Of Bloodborne because MX made a deal with me to make me play it.
I gotta see that.
And then after I get through Bloodborne, I'm gonna be playing Dark Souls Remastered, and he made a deal with me for that as well. So I'm gonna be playing those.
Dark Souls 1.
Dark Souls 1.
Yes. I have met Adrilian since like I started watching her when she used to stream Warframe, and when I started Warframe 2, I was looking for people to play with because none of my friends wanted to play, even though now all of them do. But I have been following her like for more than a year now. Go give her a follow. She's awesome. She does take some time to play. I'm just kidding. No, she's great. Lee, take it away.
Hey guys, I'm JustLeeBelmont, your noble podcaster, talk shower, and I play a lot of platformers on my channel. One of the big things I do, I speedrun a new video game every Monday as part of this kind of series that I like to call Dash Cancel. 90% of the time I don't know the speedrun route. That's what makes it interesting to me because I like learning the new tech. But in general, I play a lot of platformers, horror games, and pretty much everything else that falls under that umbrella. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've been following Lee since December, I believe, or November. I found him. I was looking for Area of Sorrow gameplay, I want to say. Or no, he actually showed up for my Rondo of Blood stream after I was streaming Symphony of the Night. And he gave me actually very good tips, as you might have seen that he actually is down for good tips, but no spoilers. But yeah, it was like very helpful. I do love his stream. He's very honest and very like eloquent his way to streaming and very like interactive. So giving a follow, he's amazing. Overnerd, you go.
I'm Overnerd, obviously. I'm very much a variety streamer. It's very difficult for me to stay on any one given game for more than too long. Lately, I've been streaming a lot of Resident Evil 2. I am currently trying to get into speedrunning. And when I say trying to get into speedrunning, and I'm talking about like the most basic, like just amateur. I want to run them for fun. I'm not here to try to break any records. I want to learn how to run the games that I like the most. Right now, I'm trying to do Resident Evil 2 remake. So, been doing that. You can expect to see that a lot on my channel. But I am very much like I said, I switch it up a lot. So, in the next couple months, you can expect to see plenty of Anthem. See how long it takes to get boring.
Ooh,
and,
3 weeks, I'll say.
Yeah, some Anthem, Metro Exodus, stuff like I like to keep on top of the new releases that interest me. But in the last like few months, I've been starting to see a lot of the value in going back and playing a few things that I had missed and really getting the most I can out of game. So my channel is very much constantly kind of shifting and evolving with my mood. But yeah, I also build Gundam models on stream, which is
dope.
That's cool. That's really cool, actually.
It's been a little slow because ever since I was gone for a month and I haven't gotten any new models. But once I do, you can expect to see plenty of that on my at least a couple times a week. But yeah, I've already talked too much. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks a lot. I know Overnet since college. I know more than 12 years ago, and I have been following his streaming career since he started like 20 months ago, or 18, or like something like that.
18 months.
He's a great inspiration of the things that I do here, also in my stream. For the the kind of games he plays, his personality and everything. Go give him a follow. And
you.
now finally about me, no problem. Now about me, I started streaming on October. I actually streaming because I actually build I was building, and I still do, modded Game Boys, and you can see here I have actually a bunch of parts everywhere that I was modding over the weekend. Actually, I'm gonna plug myself a little. Let me bring one Game Boy. I want to show you guys what.
Ooh, here it comes.
Actually, I built this last night when I couldn't play any games because I was nervous about the podcast. But I think it looks pretty dope. This one was yesterday.
That's cool.
Nice.
Nice.
So it has a light that you can turn. Like I put the light. I increase the contrast. I do that. I started doing this, and actually then transition to more retro Metroidvanias, platformers. Some like new games here and there. And I'm doing this. I'm having a lot of fun. And this podcast is part of talk show. I'm sorry. It's part of the new things that I wanted to do in 2019. Having good talk about game design, about streaming, about things like that. And I think there wasn't a better group of people that I wanted to start with, Adrillian, Overnet, and JustLeeBelmont. And I want to say the last thing is the next podcast talk show. We wanted to do it every 2 weeks, right? At least just Lee, Belmont, and me. However, next week, in 2 weeks, I actually going out of state. I'm gonna travel, so it's gonna be the next podcast is gonna be February 25th, Monday, 9:30 p.m. EST. We don't know yet what we're gonna talk about, so it's just an excuse to just come and talk and have fun. And I hope you see, have you there. And I had to change. Like, there you go. The layout that I did. Tune in February 25th, 9:30 p.m. EST for episode 2. Thanks
MX,
a lot.
Should we do some bit where we say we are the Armchair Developers?
I remember seeing some conversation about someone that didn't get it, that what Armchair Developers mean.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't get it.
So I want someone to explain
Here.
what's the joke and why we're calling it this. And maybe it's not the final name, but I think we had a kick about the name and we just went for it.
I think that I don't remember exactly who it was. I saw the chat at the beginning of the stream.
Oh, Domi Undercover, he says it's horrible name.
The thing is, to be an armchair, like, let's say you're it's a backseat gamer. Are you the actual gamer? No, you're backseating, right? You're trying to do it the right way, right? The joke is, when you're an armchair developer, you're not a developer. You're not a real developer. You're sitting in your armchair away from the work, telling other people how they should be developing their games. That's
Exactly.
the joke. We're not developers. We don't know shit about development, but we like to think that we know enough about game design or have enough experience in it that we can then talk about. This isn't even my podcast. And it's just like,
No. You're going good.
But we know enough. We like to think we know enough about game design to at least put our opinion out there, and it mean more than nothing. So I think that's the real meaning of the title. It's more like it's knowing that we're not developers, but also that we have opinions that we
have strong opinions about things. And also we're gonna put also always our own input and our own perspective, because we're also streamers and gamers and things like that, and that's how some other mix of culture of gaming, culture of game design and streaming is gonna come into the mix too. I hope you guys enjoyed a lot. I'm gonna leave it there. Guys, have a great night, and go give it a follow all of these people, and thanks a lot everyone who followed tonight too. And I'll see you. I'm gonna stream this Wednesday. I'm gonna co-host Adrillian, so go follow Adrillian for the run of Bloodborne. I'm gonna come back to the Messenger on Thursday night at 9 p.m.
Musically Inspired had a question earlier.
About Jedi
Yes.
Knight.
What was it?
Yes.
My question is, why have none of you played the Jedi Knight series, and why didn't you bring it up with Julian? Because you totally played. I didn't play that. If I did, I played the multiplayer. I didn't play the story. I played like the multiplayer.
I did play Jedi Knight 1 what was it, Jedi Knight or Jedi? I think it was Jedi Outcast actually.
Yeah.
One
I
and
played
two.
Jedi Outcast.
But I don't think I did Jedi Knight. I apologize in advance. But yeah.
We know some games, not all of them.
Yeah, yeah, which is an opportunity also to talk about games like we haven't played and bring more of that into the podcast. Again, guys, thanks a lot. Take care. I'll see you.
See you guys.
Bye.
So yeah.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit and you know it.